Hello and welcome to this presentation. My name is Lee Snyder, the product manager for the steel segment here at Tekla Inc. This is part one of a series of 3 videos showing the IFC Change Management workflow. This first situation will cover how to use the IFC files internally in your organization to help track changes. We'll show that by using some of the out-of-the-box functionality as well as an introduction to the IFC Change Management extension, which is available for download on the Tekla warehouse. Part 2 will deal with if you receive an IFC file from an engineer, how you can use that to begin your model and then absorb any subsequent changes by comparing the IFC files and then updating your native model from those files. Part 3 will cover if you started your project and started creating your model within Tekla and then received an IFC file. I show how you can go in and you can link those objects together so that you can use them for comparison purposes even if you didn't start your model from the originating IFC file. So this first workflow would be is that if you're just using Tekla internally and you wanted to use the IFC files to create a snapshot of your model and then use those to compare so that you can see what changes were made during a design change or a revision, and then we can also get a list or a report of that information that you can send along if you were going to bill somebody for that work, right? So the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm just going to come in here and just select the model. I've gone through, I've added connections, I've begun creating this, and then maybe I've received a design change. So prior to making those changes in the model, I'm just going to create a snapshot of this. So I'm just going to come in here to File, Export to the IFC option, and then I'll just give this a name. Let's just call this is the original model. And then what you can also do is load in additional property sets. So when Tekla creates an IFC file, we're going to capture the basic information about those members. So what the profile size is, what the graded material is, what the length, what the weight is, what the XYZ location is. But there's also a bunch of additional information that you can track and include in the IFC file and share with anybody that you may be sending this information to. So for example here, if I came into the beam attributes here, you could see all of the template or report attributes that I could also embed in the IFC file. We also can do the same for user-defined attributes. This can contain all of our out-of-the-box user-defined attributes, as well as any custom user-defined attributes that your company uses. So you can embed all of that information to the associated objects there within the model. When you install the IFC Change Management extension, which I'll show here in a minute, it also comes with a pre-populated property set that contains critical information that it needs to do the change management workflow. So I'm just going to go ahead and load that in. Here on the Advanced tab, I can deselect anything that I don't want included with the IFC file. And then I'll just go ahead and click on Export. That will export the IFC file and store that there within the model folder. All right. So now what I'm going to do is go through and begin making the changes here within the model based upon the design changes or the RFI that I received. So maybe for example here we deleted this channel. Maybe we're going to come in and move this one over. Let's just move this 2 feet. All right. But we could come in here and change the size of this. So instead of a 21, let's change this to a 24 or a 27. Go ahead and hit modify there. That's going to update the components for these members here. And then we could also come in here and let's say that these braces were in the wrong spot. They were actually supposed to be over here on grid line D. So I'm going to delete and remove those and then open up grid line D. Load in the profiles for those braces here. So let's call this horizontal brace. And then I'm just going to come in here and snap. Here we could run this to the top of steel or to the center line of the beam, wherever it's supposed to be. We could also come in and quickly run auto connections if we want, or just add in whatever connections we want it to be here. So I'll just run these real quick and just load in these shear tab settings, create connections, adds those there. And we can close this down and then run my numbering, and I can save my model. There's the changes that I've made. All right, and so now once I've gone through and made all of the changes that I need, I'm just going to take a snapshot of this so that I can use it to compare it to the previous file. So I'll just come back here to export IFC, give this a new name. So let's call this, maybe that was design change 1 that we received. Just using all the same exact settings, I'm just going to click on export. It will then create that file. And now I can use those files for comparison. There's two methods for comparison. One would be the out-of-the-box functionality, and then one would be using the extension. So let's go ahead first and take a look at the out-of-the-box functionality. Here I'm just going to pull in a model. Let's just call this, I could give this a group. Let's just call this just the design group, and it's tracking the design changes here. I can click on browse and then find that file. So I'm just going to load in this design change 1 file. Click on add. That's just going to place it into the model. I'm just going to use it at the default location where it was initially created. There's additional information here that you can track about that particular file. I'm not going to fill any of that out right now. I'm just going to insert this file into the model. All right. Then once I do that, it overlays that right on top of the existing steel. So just for clarity purposes, I can come in and I can just filter that information out. So let me just come in and remove that. I'll just do this. I'll make it easier to see. All right. So there's just the IFC file that I have there within the model. Now if I want to compare it or track any sort of changes, what I can do is I can come in here to this reference file, and then under there we have this change detection portion. So I can just click to expand that and then load in the file that I want to compare it against, and then that will show me what's changed, what's inserted, what's unchanged, and what's deleted. So I'm just going to click on browse. Let's load in this original model, which is the one that we created, and then visually within the model we'll be able to see color-coded all of this information. All right, so here in red we can see here's these braces that we deleted, there's the channel that we deleted, there in green are the new ones that we added with the connections, and then everything here in yellow was modified because I changed this beam size and we slid this channel over and expanded that space. So visually it's a great check to be able to see what's going on there, but if we wanted to create a report or get down to the nitty-gritty of what about these objects actually changed, that's where we can come in and use the IFC Change Management extension. So what I'll do is I'll just come back here to the reference models. I'm just going to delete this here because we're going to come back and insert them using the extension. Then we can come back and turn everything else back on just the way that we were seeing it before, and I'll just toggle off some of these additional things. Alright, so here's the model again. So we have the two files that are created, so I'm just going to go ahead and launch this extension. It's the IFC Change Management extension. And then what it will prompt me to do is to come in and pick the original model and then the new model. So I'm just going to come in here and browse to where I have my original model, and then just browse to the new model, which is this design change 1. Now what's real nice about this tool is that you can come in and you can define all of the objects that or the IFC properties that it's going to compare. So here you can see that I'm going to compare all of these attributes. So if the profile changes, I'm going to go in and compare that. If the extrema changes, part marks, assembly marks, this is information that was embedded into the IFC file that I can track or not track if these things had changed, and I can come in and set that up. So if you receive an IFC file from someone and there's an attribute in that file that you want to track, you can just copy that syntax and just paste it right here, and then you'll be able to track that information. So if these boxes are checked, it will track that. These boxes here, the second row of boxes, allows you to update the model if some of these properties change. So for example, if the profile changed and it detected that in the IFC file, I would have the option to update the native member based upon that new profile, which is a real powerful tool. I'm not going to show that here in this example. I'll show that in workflow 2 of the subsequent series of these videos. You also have the ability to come in and set up exclude filters, so things that you want to exclude or not take a look at the moment. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on compare. That's going to insert those two reference models for me into the model. It's going to run the comparison, and then it's going to show me all of the things about those that have changed. Alright, so what it will do is it will create this text file that'll be stored there within the model folder, telling you the new objects, what objects have been deleted and what are modified, just a high-level report. I'm just going to close that for now because what we really want is this detailed report here. So if I come in and zoom out here, this is the change management view where you can see again what's deleted, what's new, what's modified, similar to what we saw before, but now I have an actual report of this specific information. So here in the list, this is going to track anything, assemblies, plates, main members. If I come in and click on these, it's going to highlight those there within the models. You can see there up on the left, there's everything that's been modified, and then here's everything that's been deleted. So if we come in and take a look at this particular beam here, you'll notice that over here, this is listing all the information that we are tracking. So it shows the original value, what the new value is, and then what the native value is there within the model. And if we just want to filter this out, I can just click on show changes only, and then it'll filter out just the information that had been changed. And you'll notice here, this Tekla common.profile, this changed. Since I have this checkbox, I have the ability to update the native member in the model by clicking this button. Again, I'm not going to show it here. We'll show that in the next video. All right. So if I wanted to get a report of all of this information that has changed, what I can do is I can just come in here, hit the drop down and just export. I could do selected or just export everything that's in that list. I'm just going to export all of this information. Just go ahead and click on save, and that will then launch the Excel file, which is what we're creating this in. I'll just go ahead and click on continue on this. And then here I have a list of all of this information from the user interface. So I can see everything that's new. And then since I just chose to show what was changed, that's what it's showing here in the report for this modified instead of a full list of all of those property sets that we were tracking. And then here's all of the deleted information. So if you went through and followed this workflow, you could use the IFC file to create a snapshot of your model, make any changes in the model, create another snapshot, compare the two, and now you have a printed report of all of the changes that you can send along with your price or anything like that, just to help justify the changes that are being made there within the model.